for the Game Awards 2024 nominees announcement. All right, this is the Game Awards 2024 nominee announcement stream with Geoff Keighley. A lot of controversy about the fact that we might see a DLC get a Game of the Year nomination today. I'm going to end my previous stream. We were talking about all of the various gaming news things going on. It's a daily interactive live show that is safe for work. So be sure to hit subscribe and the bell button. Consider becoming a member. You get into all my extra content. And I'll make sure and switch that thumbnail over there because we are no longer live. And we are now live over here for the co-stream of the Game Awards nominees with Mr. Geoff Keighley. And if you missed my show this morning, I trotted out a theory. That the addition to the website of allowing a DLC, to get a Game of the Year award or nomination was likely something done in response to so many people voting for Shadow of the Erdtree. So I think Keighley made a mistake. I don't agree with this decision, by the way. I think Keighley basically said, hey, here, hang on. I need to set the super chat goal as well. I will gift 5 members. You guys only need 5 super chats this stream instead of 10 because you got to 9. I'm sorry, you got to 4 on the last stream. I'm basically counting those in this stream. I like to gift back and give back to the community, and every 10 super chats I do that. Also, every 25 gifted members or brand new members I do that. So hey, if you've never done it before, consider clicking the join button. But if you can't click join, if you're like, hey, I can't afford it right now, at least hit that like button, man. That's free, and that supports me. Y'all are the best who faithfully come in every day and smack that like button. How many games can be nominated? Usually the Game of the Year category ends up with about 6 games in it, so I can very quickly give you my predictions of at least 5 of the 6. At least 5 of the 6 is going to be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Astrobot, Metaphor, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, and Dragon's Dogma 2. Now, somebody compelled me that Prince of Persia might end up there because it actually did very well. OpenCritic, it had like over 180 scores and an 87. I would love it for Prince of Persia to end up there because it was one of my favorite games this year. My favorite game this year so far is Stellar Blade. I don't think it will get a Game of the Year nomination. I would love for Black Myth Wukong to get a great optimization passed on console. I also don't think it's going to get a nomination. But the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC is likely going to take one of the 6 spots. That's why they updated the website just last week to allow for that. And I do not agree with that decision. DLC should not be in contention for Game of the Year. I agree. DLC should be in the same category that Phantom Liberty got put in, which is Best Ongoing Game. You could argue that the ongoing game category doesn't apply to Elden Ring, but adding content is a form of a game being ongoing. So, Veilguard going to be there for real? No, it's not. Animal Well might be the token indie nomination. Animal Well and Balatro will likely be in the indie category for sure. Prince of Persia was the first good game of 2024. I absolutely loved it. I said that it was the best Metroidvania I had played since Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Guys, as you pile in, you're coming from the other stream, do me a favor. Take a quick second, hit that thumbs up, hit the like button. It's a new stream, so I need new likes. You guys crushed it on the last stream. Let's crush it again. I'll drop a 20 bomb of members. I will gift 20 members to the community at some point during the stream. I bet you we hit 125. If not, I'll only owe you 15. Well, or if we get the super chats, yeah, I'll do the same. I'll do a 20 bomb for y'all. I'm sure Geoff expects the backlash for Erdtree once it's out. With all the remakes, just make a remake, remaster category. Here's the reason why I don't think you could have a remake or a remaster category. I also don't think you could have a DLC category. I don't think we get enough of those every year. There'd just be like automatic winners. You'd have like 4 or 5 people. You know what I mean? Well, no, I have 512 screenshots of FF7 Rebirth. I don't see bad image quality in any of them. Well, that is called, I don't know what that's called. You're proving nothing, by the way. Screenshots don't mean anything. Bad image quality in performance, you don't understand the terminology that you think you're arguing against. Like, I love you, Liquid Smoke, but you're stepping out of your depth if you think screenshots of a game prove that there aren't image quality issues in a game's performance mode. You don't understand the analysis that leads to that conclusion if you think screenshots are compelling. Sorry. Like, that sounds dismissive, but like, again, I don't think you're engaging in the appropriate. This is like when people had screenshots of The Last of Us on PS5 Pro and they said, I don't see a difference. They were both running in quality and fidelity mode. The difference was in frames per second. You have videos too. Guy. Okay, well, I have tech analysis from experts, guy, and you're incorrect. FF7 Rebirth has documented, measured, and provable image quality issues in performance mode. So congratulations. Go make videos and post your screenshots in your videos and try to prove experts in the field incorrect. I'm not pulling fallacy of the expert. There is consensus from people who measure these things that game has performance issues. It has image quality issues in its performance mode. This is not a matter of subjectivity. This is not a matter of your opinion. This is a matter of fact. The game has image quality issues in performance mode. You can't hear people say it's night and day on the Pro. You can't have them saying that it's night and day on the Pro and maintain that there are no issues on the base PS5. Can you respond to MTO's argument? I can't think of a good way to push back, but I disagree. MTO says, Reforge Gaming, if Elden Ring DLC doesn't qualify for Game of the Year, then should it qualify for Best Music of 2024 or Best Action RPG? Would you completely shut it out from award nominations? You can't pick and choose and say it qualifies and it does this and not. Yes, you can, because each category has its own terms of what you can qualify for. Right? You 100% can pick and choose what categories apply because they have their own terms. Should Final Fantasy VII Rebirth be able to win Indie Game of the Year? No, because the category determines what can qualify. If you have a category that says this is a Game of the Year, DLC is not a game. It isn't. By definition, it's not a game. Like, so that's the point, is each category has its own terms that dictate what can qualify. Now, as far as soundtrack, I would have to go look at that category and see what the terms state. If all it says is original scores can be nominated, Erdtree has an original score, I'm sure, that could then be nominated. That does not then mean it can be nominated for Game of the Year. The argument is Elden Ring DLC is an expansion of a 2022 game, so why is it qualifying for 2024 Soundtrack of the Year? Because the original soundtrack for Erdtree is what would be being nominated. You can't make an equivalency between an original soundtrack getting nominated for original soundtrack category and a DLC getting nominated for Game of the Year. You understand that we're talking about categories here. We're not talking about like, well, if it gets nominated for its soundtrack, then that means it's a game. What? No. It doesn't suddenly, there's no transformative process to turn a DLC into a game. It's not a game, so it shouldn't be nominated for Game of the Year. And if you have a category called Original Score, if they wrote an entirely brand new original score for Erdtree, then it could potentially qualify. Is Best Continuing Series? I think Best Ongoing Game is the better category, even though it's not really an ongoing game. Should it be nominated for Best RPG? No, because if you go to the category of Best RPG, it's talking about the Best RPG Game of the Year. It's not a game. No, Black Myth Wukong will get nominated for other things potentially, but not for Game of the Year. It doesn't have a strong enough score. It didn't do well enough with the press to get enough votes. I don't think it makes it into the Game of the Year category. People are going to get mad and claim rigged and claim woke and whatever and yell and seethe and maul about Geoff Keighley on Twitter. Black Myth Wukong did not do well enough with review outlets and YouTubers to get enough votes. A $5 super chat. The first one for the goal. CRU says, I can't wait for Season Pass of the Year. If Elden Ring is a nom, how does it lose? Elden Ring will not win because there won't be enough people that vote for it. Erdtree is likely getting a nomination because they updated the website, but Shadow of the Erdtree only had like 120 something votes on OpenCritic. It's competing with the likes of games that have like 150 reviews. You also have to consider the fact that there will be plenty of people that say, I'm not voting for Erdtree because it's a DLC and not a game. There will be enough people that convictionally disagree. Erdtree won't win. There's no frickin' way. It doesn't have enough reviews, and there won't be enough people that vote for it unanimously. FF7 Rebirth and Astrobot are going to have way more people voting for it through the jury process. There are going to be enough people that convictionally say a DLC shouldn't win. There will be enough. I trust that. You guys are okay if someone creates a game, wins Game of the Year, and then puts out a new DLC for the next 5 years and wins every year again and again, right? Like, I don't think you want that. Helldivers 2 files included Super Earth cities, teasing terrifying urban missions. Oh, that'd be dope. Season pass of the year would be insane. Another $5 super chat tip from WGC. You guys are going to force me to give some members here, and I appreciate it. He says, what if they had just released Erdtree as a standalone expansion? Would there be any debate then? If they... What do you mean? Yeah, Black Myth Wukong has less than 100 reviews. There's not going to be enough people that vote for it. Not enough. Not enough quantity. It's a game of quantity. I mean, WGC, your hypothetical is... It confuses the discussion because what would it be called? Would it be a sequel? Would it be a spin-off? Okay, we have an example, actually. So there was the Uncharted 4, and then there was the Uncharted Lost Legacy. It was like a $40 spin-off game, yeah, like Miles Morales. If they would have done a spin-off and just called it Shadow of the Erdtree, and it was $40 all by itself, I mean, I suppose then we'd have to ask the question, is it big enough, good enough, substantive enough to get voted for? Now, given how Erdtree was received, maybe. Here's the problem. So much of what led to the Erdtree getting so much reception was people were able to walk into it right out of the base game with all their stuff, and they're like, yep, here we go. It was an expansion of that world. It was an extension and an expansion of that character that they had. Now, somebody might push back and say, Erdtree had its own rules, its own leveling system, its own power system. Therefore, it's more of a standalone game. I again just don't agree because it is very clearly an expansion. It's very clearly a DLC. It's not a new game. The Game of the Year category should be reserved for new games. Black Myth Wukong destroyed everything in sales. What's the argument there? What, you think sales should determine it? So what, should Call of Duty win almost every year then? If all that matters is quantity of sales? That's not what the competition is about. The competition is about the assessment of quality from the critics and the public, not did it sell a bunch of copies. Like 90% of Wukong sales were in China because of the history of the game and the story Journey to the West. It wasn't some globally dominant sales game. It like Call of Duty sells insane pretty much every market that it lands in. So I guess it should win every year then. Broken Lobo says it's just silly. You need to play the base game to play the DLC. Yeah, sales don't determine quality. People assessed its structure. People assessed its style, its combat. It performed very poorly on PlayStation because it's not well optimized for console. I've heard that Dragon Age Veilguard's not getting DLC. Is that true? I thought they answered questions that seemed to indicate they would not be doing DLC. Yeah, if that's the case, Hogwarts Legacy would have won last year. Yeah, Hogwarts Legacy was the most sold game last year. Maybe it was, I think it was maybe potentially only beat out once all the digital sales of Tears of the Kingdom came in. Tears of the Kingdom might have beat it after digital sales came in. It doesn't really matter. Hogwarts Legacy was insanely dominant last year. And then that means it would have won. You know, there's There's plenty of games that would have won over the years simply because they sold the most copies. That's not what we're doing. We're not having a sales charts competition. I mean, you can just go look at the sales charts at the end of every year and hold your own, award ceremony if you want to do that. I don't think that's as interesting. From my understanding with how the Game Awards work, says Gojira, is that all participating voters put forth a list for each of the categories. Geoff and company then compile those lists into nominations for each category. Then all voters go vote in each of those categories for the winners. I don't think Erdtree is getting a nomination for Game of the Year, as I don't think enough people will put it on their lists. Gojira, I'm here to tell you it's going to get a nomination. There's no other reason to update their website at the last minute to say that DLCs can be included. Why else would you suddenly update your website to say that DLCs can be nominated for Game of the Year? Guys, take a quick second and smash a like button. Get 50 more likes. Let's hit 200 likes. I'm going to drop a 10 bomb because I owe you 15. Let's get the gifting going. I'll start it. Here's 10 members in response to the generosity of the day already. If the super chats keep coming in, I got to gift more. If member renewals and member gifting keeps coming in, I got to gift more. If you sign up for a brand new membership, I might have to gift more. Thank you so much for being here. And hang on, the stream from this morning already processed. Thank you guys so much for the continued support of the channel. If you've never been here before, the name of the channel is Reforge Gaming. I go by Lono. It is a safe-for-work, highly interactive talk show about games every single day of the week. Keep in mind, I will be out of town next week for the holiday for Thanksgiving. That's a week I always take off, and I go up and spend it with my family. So make sure you're plugged in. Make sure you are tied into the membership. You're tied into our Discord. That way you don't miss out on the content. Gamers shouldn't vote on the Game Awards. If anything, there should be a People's Choice Award or something. I feel like they do a People's Choice thing with the Game Awards, but it always ends up being, it gets a lot of bot votes. It can be a little, Oh, they changed it for Shattered Space. Yeah. They give critic scores too much weight. The critics don't necessarily represent the will of the actual gamers. I mean, that debate is not even worth having because, number one, what's the will of the actual gamers? Who are the actual gamers? The people that get mad and seethe and mauled and downvote something on Metacritic because they heard something about the game, right? We've seen absolute insane behavior from users on Metacritic, and then the game comes out and gets perfectly fine scores from the user base. Like, and a member plus from Hotshot, and he adds to the goal and bumps the line of members on the week to 102. Thank you for that renewal, Hotshot. He says 4 months ago. 4 months to go. Keep up the great work. Love the daily streams. Thank you so much, Hotshot. Appreciate you. I'm going to have to snooze the ring. It's going to drive me crazy if I don't. I mean, I think the critics sometimes get it wrong. I thought Lies of P got pretty shafted. You know, user scores for Lies of P are in the 90%, and then the actual critics have it down in the 80s. Like, or low 80s, I think. Actually, where did Lies of P end up? I always forget this. Lies of P Metacritic, it's sitting at a flat 80. Yeah. Oh, that's my opinion. There are other people that think that's the right score, but, you know. None of it matters because everyone has different tastes. The awards that matter to me are DICE because it's professionals in the industry recognizing their peers. Well, right, and a lot of times you'll get congruence in agreement, though, El Duderino. You'll go from the Game Awards to DICE to even the BAFTAs, and you'll see the same handful of games getting recognized. DK Bager with a single gifted. He says, come on, boys. Let's have a really strong start to the week. We need a super strong send-off because no content next week. That means no members, no streams, no nothing. This change means that the Astrobot Speedrun DLC qualifies for Game of the Years. You see how idiotic it is? Well, here's the thing, though. I think if I was to try to argue from the other side, I don't agree with this, by the way. And Belphegor with a single gifted. Thank you so much. I do not agree with this, by the way. But if I was to try to steel man the other side and argue, I would say there are always exceptions, and Erdtree is of such a significant size and quality that it is essentially a whole new game, or it's a game by itself. Does that make sense? What do you say? A week without a stream? That's rough. Sorry, I always take that week off. And another one from Stone Spire. I know what Stone Spire's doing. He's setting up the 105, hoping to tempt somebody to gift 20 members to get us to the next milestone of 125. Stone Spire loves to bait the big guys who like to drop the member bombs. Hello, Reforge. Can a DLC is right to be in the nominees? I don't agree with it, but they changed their website in the last week to allow for DLCs to be included in the Game of the Year discussion. We're your family now, says Omar. And another gift that comes in from Joker Quinn. He makes, if somebody does the 20 member bomb, it's an Agent of Chaos. Thank you so much, Joker Quinn. I don't agree with it. I was just trying to steel man the argument, like make the argument as strong as possible. And if I make the argument as strong as possible, I'm here to tell you that I could see why somebody would want to vote for it. I don't agree. I don't agree. I don't think it should. Guys, let's get 20 more likes. Holy moly, there's a lot of people here. Take a quick second and hit that like button. Go through that ritual. A lot of you guys lurk throughout the week, and I love you. But don't forget to hit the like button. You the best. Where will we draw the line, though? Length to finish, number of bosses? Homie, it's a voting process. You know? It's a voting process. If enough people vote, then what do you want me to say? I'm saying that it shouldn't be in there. But you're saying, like, well, where do we draw the line? Well, we would draw the line with, are people going to vote for an Astrobot speedrun course? I can't believe it's this time again. Yo, what's good, Derek? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, are people going to vote for an Astrobot speed course in a great enough quantity to throw off the results? No, of course not. I agree with Broken Lobo, and a 20 spot from my man Khalid bumps the super chat goal. Safe for work. What do you mean? Every time I come in a stream, I find blood on the ground and then a gifted member from Sneaky Wolf. Those single gifteds add up quickly, guys. Don't wait for all the big member bombs. You can bump the line with just one. If Elden Ring and Erdtree came out in the same year, could both have been nominated? Right, like would Erdtree have been nominated against Elden Ring? Exactly. Elden Ring already got its flowers. I agree with you. I think giving it a place on the podium is a mistake. Here's the other thing you got to consider. Keighley's playing a game. I think a lot of people are unnecessarily harsh and nasty to Geoff Keighley, but Keighley's playing a game. And making Bandai happy, there's a lot to be gained from that. There's a lot to be gained from making Bandai happy, right? He wants people to show up. He wants big announcements. Elden Ring made a huge announcement the one year at the Game Awards for him. Liquid Smoke with a $5 super chat. If you're off next week, I don't think I can use my milestone for 42 months, so here is to this helping. And there it is. One more super chat for confetti. And then I'll drop 5 members into the total. You guys can make this total go up with super chats, and that's how you do it. Typically, when I gift members, you know what I mean? If you're me, then who am I? Well, you're an account that we would file a claim against for impersonation. Yeah. I'll hand this off to my producer. We'll talk to my my manager. You can't do that. That's against terms and conditions. You can't do impersonation. Alex Witter with a $10 super chat. There it is. There's your confetti. I owe you guys 5. There we go. Okay. Yeah, it's against TOS to impersonate. You can repurpose content and you can do reactions. You can't take my content and position it as if you're me. That's against the rules. I've never tried to stop anybody from reacting to my content or using my content. I let them do it. It's just part of the business, but you're not allowed to do impersonation. Any Mario games that'll get a nom? No. Super Mario and Luigi Brothership did not score high enough to likely get a nomination. No. Now, it could land in like the family category or something, but not really sure. Quick prediction for Game of the Year. Astrobot will likely win. If it's not Astrobot, it's probably Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Those are probably the 2 easiest nominations to pick. I also think that Metaphor gets a nomination. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth will get a nomination. Dragon's Dogma 2 will likely get a nomination. Those are probably the easy 5 to pick based on scores. Let them. Even bad press is good press. Yeah, I don't care if people put me in their content. All you're continuing to do is make me more relevant, you know, by the sheer nature of it. So, but you can't impersonate me. That's not the same.
Award, and the Game Award goes to... And the Game Award.
The Game Award.
The Game Award goes to... And the winner is...
And the winner is...
And the winner is... 10 years ago, we began a journey together to celebrate video games as the biggest, most powerful form of entertainment in the world. And on Thursday, December 12th, right here at Peacock Theater in Los Angeles, we will recognize the best and show you what's next with the 10th anniversary of the Game Awards. Hey everybody, I'm Geoff Keighley, and welcome to the TGA Global Nomination Announcement Special. Today, it is my distinct honor to reveal this year's nominees, recognizing talented game developers from studios big and small around the world. And you can help select the winners by voting right now at thegameawards.com. All right, you've waited long enough, so let's do it. Here are the nominees for the Game Awards 2024. For Best Ongoing Game, the nominees are Destiny 2, Diablo 4, Final Fantasy XIV, Fortnite, and Helldivers 2. Your Best Performance nominees are Brianna White for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Hannah Tell for Life is Strange Double Exposure, Umberly Gonzalez for Star Wars Outlaws, Luke Roberts Silent Hill 2, and Melina Juergens Senua's Saga Hellblade 2.
She should win.
For the Best Mobile Game, the nominees are AFK Journey, Balatro, Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket, Wuthering Waves, and Zenless Zone Zero. The nominees for Best Art Direction are Astrobot, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, Metaphor ReFantazio, and Neva. For Best Score and Music, this year's nominees are Astrobot, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor ReFantazio, Silent Hill 2, and Stellar Blade. In the category of Best Audio Design, these games are nominated: Astrobot, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2. Best Adaptation recognizes excellence in authentically creating shows, movies, and other creative endeavors based on video game worlds. Here are this year's nominees for Best Adaptation: Arcane, Fallout, Knuckles, Like a Dragon Yakuza, and Tomb Raider, The Legend of Lara Croft.
Fallout will win.
For Best Narrative in a Game, the TGA nominees are Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Metaphor ReFantazio, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2. Games for Impact celebrates thought-provoking games with a profound pro-social meaning or message. Here are this year's nominees: Closer the Distance, Indica, Neva, Life is Strange Double Exposure, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, and Tales of Kenzera.
I don't know why they keep saying Neva. It's pronounced Neva in the game.
Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy XIV, Fortnite, Helldivers 2, and No Man's Sky. In the category of Best Multiplayer, the nominees are Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Tekken 8, and Warhammer 40,000, Space Marine 2. Best Independent Game celebrates games with a high degree of risk tolerance, as they are produced outside of the traditional publisher system. The nominees are Animal Well, Balatro, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Neva, and UFO 50. Next is Best Debut Indie Game, which recognizes a development team that hasn't won a Game Award before. In fact, these teams published their first game in 2024. The nominees are Animal Well, Balatro, Manor Lords, Pacific Drive, and The Plucky Squire. For Best VR AR Game, the nominees are Arizona Sunshine Remake, Asgard's Wrath 2, Batman Arkham Shadow, Metal Hellsinger VR, and Metro Awakening.
It'll go to Asgard's
Creator
Wrath.
of the Year, the nominees are Queso, Illawan, Techno Gamers, Typical Gamer, and Usada Pecora.
They should just throw a random fake one in there. I didn't know who any of those people were.
We'll have lots of games to announce on December 12th. But what's the most anticipated upcoming game? Here are the nominees based on currently announced titles: Death Stranding 2, On the Beach, Ghost of Yote, Grand Theft Auto 6, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and Monster Hunter Wilds. The Best Action-Adventure nominees are Astrobot, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Silent Hill 2, Star Wars Outlaws, and The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. For Best Role-Playing, the jury selected Dragon's Dogma 2, Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth,
Erdtree out of there.
Metaphor ReFantazio.
What a freaking joke.
In the category of Best Fighting, the nominees are
It's not a game.
Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus Rising, Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics, Multiversus, and Tekken 8. The nominees for Best Action are Black Myth Wukong, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Stellar Blade, and Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2.
Stellar Blade won't win that category, but I'm glad to see it get a nom.
Celebrates games that are making our industry available and enjoyable to more people. Selected by a special committee of accessibility experts, the nominees for Innovation in Accessibility are Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Diablo 4, Dragon Age: The Veilguard, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, and Star Wars Outlaws. Next up, Best Family Game. The nominees are Astrobot, Princess Peach Showtime, Super Mario Party Jamboree, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, and The Plucky Squire. The Best Sim Strategy nominees are Age of Mythology Retold, Frostpunk 2,
Erdtree wins every category it's in. No, it won't.
Manor Lords, and Unicorn Overlord. This year, these titles are nominated for Best Sports Racing: F1 24, EA Sports FC 25, NBA 2K25, Top Spin 2K25, and WWE 2K24.
Guys, take a quick second and smash the like button. Let's get to 300 likes.
Starting with Best Esports Game. The nominees are Counter-Strike 2, Dota 2, League of Legends, Mobile Legends Bang Bang, and Valorant. The nominees for Best Esports Athlete are 3-3, Alexi B, Juvie, Faker, Zywoo, and Kong Kong. And for the Best Esports Team, our Special Esports Committee nominated these teams: Billy Gaming, League of Legends, Fantasy VII Rebirth from Square Enix, and Metaphor ReFantazio from Studio Zero. So there you have it. Those are your nominees for Game of the Year. And yes, that means you'll hear the Game Awards Orchestra, conducted by Lauren Belf, play their themes live on this very stage on December 12th. But before then, you should head to thegameawards.com to help select the winners by casting your ballot.
I can't believe that Wukong beat out Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. That's super surprising. I did not expect that at all. Yeah, Balatro got in there. I said that sixth category, the sixth one, I was like, it's a toss-up. Like, Balatro could sneak up there. Animal Well could sneak up there. I can't believe Black Myth beat out Like a Dragon. Like, if you go look at the scores, Like a Dragon crushed it. Black Myth did not get that strong of a score. That's really surprising. I am super surprised. Yeah, a lot of you guys said that Wukong would get up there, and I was like, the quantity's not there. They won't get enough votes. I thought Like a Dragon, nobody played Like a Dragon? Yeah, but the jury process is based off of outlets, and if you go to OpenCritic, Like a Dragon has so many outlets that reviewed it. I can't believe it didn't get enough votes. That's really, really surprising. That Wukong beat out Like a Dragon. Rebirth being up there is not a surprise. Metaphor being up there is not a surprise. Astrobot, not a surprise. We all thought that Balatro or Animal Well would get a chance to sneak up onto the stage. But, like, why is Erdtree in all these categories? It's a DLC. It's so... I'm telling you, I really do feel like the Shadow of the Erdtree thing... It's so much, it feels like advertising. It's like, you're making good with Bandai. People loved it. I know it was sizable. I know it got insane scores. Like, it's got a high score. It's got the second highest score on OpenCritic. But, like, it taking a spot away from games like a Dragon is really surprising. Yeah, I agree with Mango. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth should be up there above a DLC. Like, I don't think DLC should be up there. I think it hurts the awards. Insomniac Black with a $5 super chat tip. How the F did Wukong get up there all those times, but Stellar Blade didn't? Man, get this out of here. Both of them need to be up there. I just wonder if you're playing an advertising game. Like, he knows that Wukong is so super popular in the Chinese market. Now everybody's going to want to watch the Game Awards in that market, right? If Wukong got stiffed, then you might have a lot of people say, I'm not going to watch. There were a lot of people that were like, no, Wukong's going to get it. Wukong's going to get it because it's so popular. It sold so many copies. Erdtree knocked out good games. That's political corruption. I mean, I'm not ready to call it corruption. People voted. people voted. Like, I'm not saying that Keighley made the right choice, but if the outlets are all saying we want to vote for Erdtree for best RPG, we want to vote for Erdtree for best direction and then best game, again, I think he should have said no. He should have said absolutely not. That's a DLC. You can't even play Erdtree as a standalone. That doesn't make sense at all. Yeah, I don't agree with DLC being in contention. You have other games that are more deserving of those categories. You really do. I think it was a mistake. We saw last year why it's just advertising, half the awards being anyone on stage. Well, I don't have a problem with him getting advertisers for the event. The event's incredibly expensive. I think people being critical of that are ignorant of the business realities of an event of this scope and size. What I'm saying is, having Shadow of the Erdtree up there that many times, it feels like he's playing nice with Bandai. Like, well, we know this is really, popular and people voted for it, and yeah, we need to let it get voted for so that way they can get a bunch of advertisement for their DLC. So, and thank you for 17 months of memberships. Hello, Lima. Let me add you to the total. Let me turn the timer off. What do you need, kiddo? Where's Mama? Is there anything cooking or baking? Okay, she's got dough down here. It might be for that. I'll text her. Thanks, kiddo. A $2 super chat says Space Marine 2 for Game of the Year. I have thoroughly enjoyed my time in Space Marine 2, but I don't think, that could be your Game of the Year. I think a lot of people really, really liked it. It seemed to do very well. I owe you guys 5 members. We can keep sitting around and talking. Let's go through each category and just kind of react and maybe make some predictions. What we think's going to happen, if their website's even working. They took it down and made a splash page earlier. I think it was because of the controversy. I don't think Erdtree will win the categories that it's in, though. I don't think it'll get enough votes. I think there will be enough people voting that will say the vote should go for a game and not a DLC. I'm surprised that it even got into some of those other categories. I really am. It's like, how many people thought that this was the right call? Guys, take a quick second. If you've enjoyed the coverage in the co-stream, show some appreciation and hit that like button. That definitely helps me out, and it definitely helps this video out. I owe you guys 5 members, and I'm going to do it right now. All right, here we go. Nominees. Let's just go through the nominees. View all categories. Well, not here. I'll just do start voting. Will it let me? Yeah, vote now. Here we go. Their website's having some issues. Probably a lot of people going to it. It has enough votes to get in. Definitely going to win all of them. No, I think you're completely incorrect. There are far fewer outlets that even reviewed Erdtree. I don't think so. No way. You're going to have people that didn't even review it because it only has like 120 reviews on OpenCritic. Games like Prince of Persia and Astrobot and others are in like the 150s, 170s, 180s. They have way more people that reviewed it. Secondly, I think there are people excuse me. I think there are people that won't vote for it out of principle. They'll be like, no, I'm not voting for that. That's DLC. I think there are enough outlets, enough YouTubers, enough people involved that are going to say, I am not voting for DLC to win Game of the Year. That would just be absolutely stupid. Excuse me. You thought Wukong had no shot, and here we are. It snuck in. I mean, you're correct. I honestly thought quantity of votes, there's no way Wukong gets up there because of Like a Dragon and other titles that had way more reviews and way higher scores. I'm genuinely surprised that Wukong is up there along with Erdtree. I'm genuinely surprised. It's a mathematical guess. Whenever I was guessing Game of the Year nominations, I'm not guessing my preference because I haven't played Metaphor, and I said Metaphor would be up there. I haven't played Like a Dragon, and I said Like a Dragon would be up there. I was making my guesses based off math. It's niche. You don't know what you're talking about if you think Like a Dragon is niche. Also, go look at the number of reviews it got. It's not niche. You guys always just speak out of turn because you don't like something. Like a Dragon had like 150 reviews. That's not niche. Why would you even say that? Anyways. I still think Astrobot takes this category. It had too much universal praise. If Erdtree takes it, I know all the anti-Sony fans will celebrate. That is bad for this event. Anybody cheering for Erdtree to win Game of the Year, you're cheering for something that I think will be ultimately bad for the event. Nobody wants to tune in and have the crescendo of your Game Awards be a DLC winning Game of the Year. That would be ridiculous. Lono's using math. Some of y'all are using emotion. Yeah, but like I'm using basic math to analyze where voting was going to land. I'm not saying what I like or don't like. It's never been about that when I make these predictions. Being niche shouldn't hinder a game nomination. Like a Dragon, I don't know anyone personally that plays it or even heard of it. I mean, that's anecdotal. Lifetime sales of the Like a Dragon series. Could we get Infinite Wealth? Let's see. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. Lifetime sales, over 1 million copies. I don't know if you can call anything that hits 1 million copies niche. That feels like it's a mainstream title that people are aware of. I saw major people involved with the marketing of Like a Dragon. They had Drewski in the commercials. Like, that doesn't feel like a niche game to me. I don't care if Astrobot doesn't win because it's not even my favorite game of the year. I personally thought it was going to potentially get beat out by Rebirth, given everybody's praise of Rebirth. I think it's bad for the event for a DLC to win Game of the Year. I don't think that's what this event is supposed to be about. I think this is a major misstep by Keighley. Geoff Keighley was accused last year of being out of touch and not being in tune with the gaming world and developers and everything else. And he just trotted out, basically, a Game of the Year nomination that includes something that's not a game, you know? And I think this adds problems to the event. Like if it wins, it being nominated is bad enough. It winning will be, I think, again, that'll be bad for the event. I think it'll hurt reception. Criticism of the event will just continue to rise. Welcome, Sid. Thank you for renewing your membership, Sid. Guys, remember, if you want to count towards the member goal, you've got to be on Member Plus or VIP. I can't count standard memberships because I can't tell that if it's a gifted or not. So, calling it not a game is a stretch. Calling a DLC a game is a stretch. What are we even talking about? Imagine launching an incredibly good RPG in 2024 and not getting nominated because a DLC got nominated. A DLC from an enormously long-standing studio with insane institutional knowledge to rely upon. They get to stand on the shoulders of a game that already won Game of the Year, and that's what you end up losing. You don't get nominated because so a DLC can get nominated. Come on. Now, as far as best game direction goes, I actually can't vote on this because, I could vote what I think's going to win. I wouldn't be surprised if game direction goes to FF7 Rebirth. It's a game experience, therefore it's a game. All DLCs are games then. You're literally eroding what have traditionally been categories. You're saying that if something is a game experience, it's a game. Okay, well, you can go run speedrun courses in Astrobot. That's free DLC. Each of those speedrun courses are a game. Like, every single time there's been a season in Destiny, that's its own game. Man, there's so many Destiny games out there. It's crazy that there's now 2 Elden Ring games. Like, nobody talks like this. Nobody talks like this. You're eroding categories by saying something that generic. If it's a game experience, it's a game? Homie, then that makes everything a game. Like, what are we even doing then? Just anything can get nominated. Anything can get nominated. Everything's a game experience. You think Metaphor might win Best Game Direction? Yeah, it's harder for me to commentate here because I've played 4 of the things up here. I haven't played Rebirth. I haven't played Metaphor. Based off of what I saw from critics and reviews, I would see Final Fantasy taking this category. Wheezy says, I hope Erdtree wins because I think it would be funny. Yeah, I mean, we spent last year debating about whether or not remakes should get nominations, and now we're debating whether or not a DLC should get a nomination. Like, come on, man. I don't think you should dilute your categories. I think, like I said, I think it hurts the event to dilute your categories. It really, really does. And I guarantee you, anybody who agrees with me is going to be described as some seething, maulding pony that wants, Astrobot or Final Fantasy as a PlayStation exclusive to win. I don't give a frick who wins. I just predict nominations based off of the math of the jury process, and then the chips fall where they may. I was cheering for Stalker 2 to get a nom since there was enough time for it to get up there, but Stalker 2 doesn't have any nominations. I was cheering for an Xbox timed exclusive to get nominations. Like, this has nothing to do with platform allegiance. I think it's bad for your event to have DLCs in categories with games. And a 10th spot from Otavio Cruz says, the writing's on the wall. Shadow of the Erdtree was launched the same year of the Elden Ring. They would be nominated as 2 different games. No, hence it should not be there. I don't know why you said the writing's on the wall, but everything else I agree with. If Elden Ring would have dropped and then Shadow of the Erdtree would have dropped 10 months later in the same year, you wouldn't say, yep, that's 2 great games from FromSoft. Nobody would have said that. You'd have said, hey, that's a great game from Elden Ring, from FromSoft, and then a really great DLC for it. So I wouldn't be surprised if FF7 Rebirth takes this category of Best Direction. Best Direction. DLC needs to be its own category. I agree. Best Narrative. Yeah, I have a hard time voting here. I don't think Hellblade 2 will win, although I do think Melina Juergens will win for Best Performance in Hellblade 2. I thought the narrative was actually one of the weaker parts of Hellblade 2. The story is one of the things that was pretty criticized by even, fans of the franchise, as well as people that did like official reviews of it. It didn't do all that well in that regard. Rebirth is 100 plus hour masterpiece. Thank you for the 2 spot, SDO. And then I got a 5 spot from Sirius says, why make new games when you can just make DLC? What do you guys think wins this category? You should have voted for Black Myth. No, I don't think Black Myth deserves any of the awards it's been nominated for. It was a poorly optimized game, and they used FSR. They used frame gen in an abusive way. I don't think you should get awards when you optimize your game so poorly. And it didn't even get that great of a score. You guys think Metaphor should be up for this one, Best Narrative? A lot of you guys have tried to turn Black Myth Wukong into some culture war, and it's just freaking tiring. It's just dadgum tiring. We got people saying that basically it sounds like you guys are saying that this category is between Final Fantasy and Metaphor. Black Myth will sweep the show. No, it won't. Rebirth wins this category. There's 2 remakes in this category. Is Rebirth a traditional remake, though? I know Silent Hill 2 is, but is Rebirth a traditional remake? I thought it was a pretty big departure. Like, it's not just like another, hey, now it looks prettier or whatever. Metaphor is a brand new narrative. FF7 bites off the 90s. Yeah, I think on principle alone, then, I'm going to put my vote on Metaphor because it's a new narrative. I prefer new things to win. That's actually a good point. Silent Hill 2 and FF7 Rebirth are, you know, tapping into stories that have already been told. You snapped at me. What I do wrong? I mean, if you're that sensitive that you think what I did was a snap, you know what I mean? I didn't snap at you. Stalker 2 no nom due to the cutoff. But the date on their site made it seem like there was enough time for Stalker 2 to get a nomination. Thank you for the 2 spot, by the way. Please try again in 30 seconds. Yeah, their website's having trouble. It's open voting. I think Wukong might sweep. That's not how it works. The public's vote only counts for like 10% or something. So if it was just a matter of a popularity contest, it would be a disaster because it would just be literally bots and, you know, fanboys like scouring to make multiple accounts and stuff. It's the public doesn't really get to sway the vote that much at all. I think Wukong is involved personally for the same reason that Erdtree's involved. I think Keighley's playing a marketing game. I think he knows viewership for the event will be higher because Wukong's involved. I think he knows that being, you know, keeping things nice with Bandai and a title the size of Elden Ring. I find it incredibly hard to believe that all these outlets suddenly decided that, like, they were going to say, yeah, we think we want to vote for a DLC. All these outlets that didn't score Black Myth Wukong that high suddenly decided that it should rank higher than Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm suspicious of the whole thing now. It's like, wait a minute. If you go to OpenCritic and you go to Metacritic, this is really easy to figure out where the jury process is going to land. Start with Geoff this and he does not vote. Yeah, but he's still in control of the event. He could have said we're not going to let DLC get voted for in Game of the Year or RPG Game of the Year. The outlets decide the nominees. That's why I think the whole thing's suspicious. All you have to do is go and look at the scores for Black Myth. Where did all these outlets come from that suddenly voted for it? It doesn't make any mathematical sense. Like, seriously, go crunch the numbers. It doesn't make any sense. Black Myth doesn't make any sense. And try and square this with the people that try to call me a pony. The PlayStation ponies were celebrating Black Myth as a huge triumph because Xbox couldn't get it. And I've been very critical of that game since Jump. So try and square this with all the, you know, categories and ugly names that you try to apply to me, as you see on, you know, on all your videos about me. I don't think Black Myth has the math behind it to make sense of why it's in so many categories. It doesn't make any sense. I could see it in art direction. I'll say that. But as far as Game of the Year, Yakuza has a show. You guys are acting like the Yakuza games aren't well known. It has a TV show. There was outrage for that Black Myth score. Yeah, so what, you think outlets suddenly changed their tune? Do the critic scores determine it or the outlets? The critic scores are an indication of where things will go. We looked at the scores last year and we perfectly predicted all of the Game of the Year nominations. It wasn't difficult. This year, you've got DLC up there and a game that isn't even remotely in the score thresholds of other games this year. People loved Wukong. It's not a viewing move. We're discrediting the whole institution over a game that was a worldwide phenomenon. It wasn't a worldwide phenomenon. 90% of its sales came from China. It wasn't a worldwide phenomenon. Go look at the scores. The review outlets did not land on that game to make sense of a Game of the Year nomination. It doesn't make any sense at all. The math's not there. It was rumored that it was going to be shut out due to politics, so I think they nominated to be like, see, we like this game. Why would you rule it out over politics? Lots of games have huge sales in China. Right, but if you look at the actual sales percentages, to call it a global phenomenon is simply false. It wasn't a global phenomenon. Like, that's not true. The review outlets were against Wukong, that's a fact. I don't think they were against it. If what you're saying is a fact, then why did it get a nomination? Where did the votes come from? What did you say in the Discord, Alapark? Is there a chance that Geoff opened the jury pool to more countries, not like a culture war thing, but to be more inclusive overall of different markets? Open and meta are pretty Western weighted. I know that Wukong ran fine on PC. Listen. Okay. Listen. It's a basic principle of math that in a voting process, if you don't have enough votes, you're not going to win or you're not going to get a nomination. Do you have any idea how low Black Myth Wukong is when you go to OpenCritic and you sort by score? It is not even, hang on, I'm trying to find it. Give me a second here. I want to show you guys why this doesn't make any sense to me. All right, hang on. Black Myth Wukong OpenCritic. I know I'm going to get clipped and accused of being a wokey because I don't love Black Myth Wukong, because a bunch of grifting liars turned Black Myth Wukong into a culture war because they have no content without a culture war. But I was fully in support of that game. I have a content on this channel saying it was a Game of the Year contender based on what it looked like, based on the chops that the game had. Out of all of the games scored, it is in 110th place on OpenCritic. That's where it ranks according to score on the year. It only has 87 critic reviews. It's in a category with content that has 150 to 160 total reviews. Who the frick voted for this game? Who? Where did the votes come from in the jury process? Where? It doesn't even have that many outlets that should be voting for it. If all 87 of these people voted for it, number one, that doesn't make any sense, given the score threshold, right? Eurogamer giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. I don't think they're voting for this thing to be Game of the Year. Do the math. This doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. It doesn't have enough. It doesn't have enough outlets that reviewed it. Who voted for it? To be fair, Meta has more, 91 and 17. That's still lower than the other games at the top. If you go to the absolute top here, we go back to page 1, all right, and we look at Astrobot, FF7 Rebirth, Metaphor, okay, even Balatro, all right? I think Balatro only had like 50. I wonder if they weight it and they allow smaller titles to get up there. This is the category that Wukong is in. It's in a category with Astrobot, 157 people, 157 critic reviews, and it's got a 95. Rebirth has a 93, 155 critic reviews. Metaphor, 130 critic reviews, 92. And then when you look at Black Myth, you don't think something weird's going on? The people that vote in this process... The people that voted in this process didn't vote strongly for Wukong, and it doesn't even have that many reviews. Even if we were to go to compare Metacritic, I guarantee you, Astrobot and Metaphor and FF7 Rebirth all have higher scores and more reviews. The math doesn't math here. This doesn't make any sense. It's not what you're saying. The whole thing doesn't make any sense. You can't compare a family game like Astro to Wukong. You're not listening to what I'm saying. I am not comparing the games. Ignore the picture. Imagine that you couldn't see the game over here and all you saw was this block of text on the right. And if you saw a game with this many reviews and a 95 in the same category as a game with an 82 and 87, you would say, that math doesn't math, homie. Who voted for that game that only had 87 critic reviews and an 82? Forget the games. I'm not talking about the games. You guys are getting caught up in the minutia of, well, Astrobot's kiddish and stupid, and Black Myth Wukong is awesome. I'm not talking about the games. I'm talking about this doesn't make mathematical sense. It doesn't. I'll give you Erdtree. I get it. A bunch of outlets. Erdtree is the second highest rated piece of content, for the year on OpenCritic, right? I'll give you Erdtree. I can make sense of what happened here. All these outlets said, hey, Erdtree is basically the size of a full game. We should be able to vote for it. I don't agree with that decision. You're never going to convince me that the same number of people and outlets voted for Wukong as voted for games like we're seeing up here at the top. And then if you scroll down just a little bit, I mean just a teensy bit, right? And we go to look at Like a Dragon. How is Like a Dragon not up there? It has 150 critic reviews. It has a 90. Look at how many people reviewed this. It's got a phenomenal score. How did Like a Dragon not get up there? It doesn't make any sense. Like a Dragon's mid? I'm not talking about your opinion. I'm talking about in the voting process. In the voting process, how does something that got such great praise from the people voting suddenly disappear when it comes to the Game of the Year vote? People forgot about it? No, they didn't. Like a Dragon has multiple nominations. It has multiple nominations. People didn't forget about it. It's in at least 3 categories. I can't. Their website's so slow. I was gonna try and see how many categories Like a Dragon was in. Erdtree's an awesome DLC, but not Game of the Year. They should make a DLC category. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think they need a category for stuff like Erdtree. I love to see Erdtree recognized for how great it was, but it shouldn't be in RPG Game of the Year or Game of the Year. It's like, what do you mean? It's not a game. It's DLC. It's getting to stand on the shoulders of Elden Ring, which is already a Game of the Year. Yo, a 5-spot from John always. Media outlets in the general gaming industry want access to the Chinese market. I get what you're saying, says Joel. Not enough reviews or scores to get in, but somehow it did. Money, question mark? If it's not money, then what made it get in? Over Like a Dragon or Space Marine 2? I don't know. The only thing, if I try to look at this in the best light possible, and I don't suspect anything weird is going on, the only thing I would say is perhaps the sales and the popularity and the Steam score made these outlets think, well, when it comes to Game of the Year, we can't purely consider our score. We have to consider the larger picture, all right? And the larger picture is pretty dadgum compelling for Black Myth Wukong. It has a 96% and 728,000 reviews on Steam. That's the most charitable way I can look at this. That the review outlets went to vote and said, it's not as simple as our score. We have to consider the entire picture of the game and the year and the public response. And I think sales might play a role here. And they're like, Black Myth Wukong is undeniably one of the biggest games this year. Its sales, its user score, it deserves the nom. I could be compelled that a bunch of the outlets voted because of that. Okay, fine. At least get Erdtree out of there then, for Pete's sakes. You could justify your vote. The reason up to now I had been saying there's no way Wukong gets a vote is the media didn't seem that impressed by it, and I thought the media is going to go to vote. They're going to look at their scores and say, Wukong didn't really impress us that much. Like a Dragon impressed us, we're voting for that. That's how I thought they were going to vote. If they're not voting that way, I mean, I guess that's okay. I think that's fine to consider the overall public reception to a game. But I am absolutely stunned that it got up there. And you guys have to remember, I was cheering for that game. I have a video on this channel where I said, I think Black Myth's a Game of the Year contender. And then it came out, and it's in my opinion, I think it's unplayable on PlayStation because of what they did with frame gen. It's terrible. It's a little bit better on Pro, but then I got to this new area with a bunch of water, and it just ran so poorly. The frame rate was super inconsistent. So it's like, I was super disappointed in how that game landed. Like, I loved Jedi Survivor once it was playable, but same deal. Like, Jedi Survivor severely disappointed me. I had to wait like 4 or 5 months to play Survivor. I don't know if they're ever going to go back to Wukong and rework that game on console. I don't know if they're ever going to do it. My initial reaction to these results is shock. Last year, I wasn't shocked. I was like, yeah, those are the games we thought were going to be up there. This year, I'm like, so we have a DLC up there, and we have a game that got like an 82 from the review outlets up there. That's super surprising. Super surprising. Bro, you are a joke. So you insult people who give their opinion that you don't agree with? Like, I mean, that's just a sign of insecurity. You're welcome to come in here and say what games are your favorite and what games you think should win. I'm just telling you what I think. But you played Elden Ring, such hypocrisy? What do you mean? But I played Elden Ring, such hypocrisy. Elden Ring didn't use frame gen to double the frames of a 30 FPS game. Elden Ring's frame issues are very infrequent. It has some frame stutters. I played Elden Ring all the way through and very rarely had any issues with frame rate. I also played the PlayStation 4 version of Elden Ring on my PS5 to get the most consistent frame rate. If you think that Elden Ring's performance issues are equivalent to what they did with Black Myth Wukong on the PS5, you need to go do a little bit of research into what they actually did with Wukong and why it feels so poor. I played on the Pro, and I got to a new area after fighting the bear. It performed terribly. It was like stuttering. Elden Ring never played like that. Vote Asgard's Wrath. My friend worked on that game. Asgard's Wrath is a great VR game. I've not played the Batman game. People think the Batman game's going to win. I feel like Asgard's Wrath 2 is very deserving. There's also the Metro game up there as well. Stellar Blade, the Lost Crown, Prince of Persia, or Space Marine 2 deserves the Erdtree spot. I'm even open to the argument that Prince of Persia should be up there instead of Erdtree. I didn't go look at its Open Critic score. Somebody reminded me today, they're like, it actually did better than you thought. I felt like Prince of Persia got mediocre, like lukewarm response, but mainly that was sales. I think I was remembering the sales, and then they shut the studio down, unfortunately. I would much rather see Prince of Persia up there than frickin' Erdtree. I thought Prince of Persia, like I said, that was the best Metroidvania I played since Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and I absolutely love Ori. Five spot from my man Trill Troll says, while that could be true, why didn't they do that for Hogwarts or Lies of P? I'm not sure what... Oh, right. Right. Oops. Hang on. Let me start another goal. I'll only set it to 5. I didn't give you guys enough time on that. I'll give you guys credit. I will give 5 members. Let me reset the super chat goal and lower it. I had it set to 10. You guys did 5. Well, with Trills, you actually did 4. So just 5 more, and I'll add to the goal. You guys can also gift members, renew members. At the very least, I want to see you back. This has been a blast. Hit subscribe. Hit the like button. Hit the bell button. We want you to come back. Enjoy the conversations with you guys so much. And a 5 spot from Instant Messenger Sama. Okay, if the super chat goal hits 4, I'll give you guys the 5. I don't know why. Instance didn't count. Maybe it was a little too fast. Silent Hill 2 Remake deserved the spot. Geoff Keighley and From Software, Fellatio Arc has to stop. Well, no, I think you need to compare the Game Awards jury outlets and to the outlets that comprise the reviews on Metacritic and OpenCritic. I wonder if there might not be as much overlap as we expect. Isn't the jury process like 200-something outlets and or YouTubers and or contributors? It's pretty big, isn't it? Yo, 5 spot from Sneaky Wolf. What's Stellar Blade's score and how many people voted for it? Let's see. Stellar Blade, OpenCritic, 82, 136. Yeah. Why didn't this get a vote? It has the exact same score as Black Myth Wukong, and it has more reviews. It doesn't matter. And I told you guys before, I said, I don't think Stellar Blade's going to get a nomination for Game of the Year, even though it's my favorite game. I readily admitted its score wasn't high enough. I was like, it ain't going to get enough votes. You know? It ain't going to get enough votes. But Stellar Blade's got the same score as Wukong, and it's got more reviews, which means it's more impressive. It's a lot harder for your score to stay strong the more outlets weigh in. Black Myth Wukong was a PR vote. Everything about this makes listen. I've been in Keighley's corner before. I think he gets a lot of unnecessary hate. I think people get really stupid and sanctimonious and self-righteous and they virtue signal. What's really, really interesting is how many people out here that are like anti-wokies are like attacking Keighley. Yeah, you're linking arm in arm with a lot of wokies because an awful lot of wokies gave Geoff Keighley heat last year. So now you're finding yourself with unusual bedfellows as you guys all rage and seethe at Geoff Keighley. I feel like he's gotten a lot of unnecessary hate. I think he just allowed his events to be even more heavily criticized than before by allowing DLC to get a Game of the Year nomination. Listen, putting Black Myth Wukong up there, I don't think anybody's going to be critical of that. It's an insanely popular game. I'm bewildered by it because the math doesn't make sense, but Black Myth Wukong's not going to invite criticism. Shadow of the Erd Tree getting a Game of the Year nomination, I think that's going to invite criticism. And I think the criticism's valid. I don't think DLC should be in RPG Game of the Year or Game of the Year categories. Guys, take a quick second and see if you have smashed that like button. Let's get 24 more. I'll go for another 10 minutes. You guys have 10 minutes to try to hit 125. I'll owe you more members. I'll owe you 5. Got a little bit more time to hit the super chat goal as well. The outlets submitting reviews are actually a single person. Judges could be different people from those outlets, so opinions likely differ from the reviews submitted. That's actually fair pushback on my theory or my attempts to base it on the math. Yo, thank you so much for the 10 spot, Edward Hulse. I don't know why these aren't counting towards the super chat goal. If we get 2 more super chats at 5 or higher, I'll do the gift. Maybe that does that not translate into USD to be enough? Is that not $5? No, that's $12 USD. Come on, man. The feature's not working consistently. I apologize. Thank you, Edward Hulse, for the 10 spot. Embarrassing Shadow of the Erd Tree got nominated for Game of the Year when so many other games are deserving of the spot. However, I am happy for my girl, Aerith Brianna White, getting the Best Performance nomination. I think the Best Performance award is going to go to Melina Juergens for Hellblade 2. Game Rant posted an article about a DLC being named Game of the Year. I don't think Erdtree is going to win every category that it's in. I just don't think so. I think enough people are going to say, I'm not voting for a DLC. Like, yeah, Helldivers got a good amount of awards. Yeah, even Nib is saying he didn't expect to see Black Myth Wukong. He adored it, so he's glad. Like, he liked it, and he even thought that it wasn't going to be up there. In Exile says, once again, we've been snubbed by the Game Awards for the simple fact that we did not release a game this year. A FCat with a member plus 2 months. Concord got snubbed for best ongoing game. Shut up, FCat. You freaking fool. You straight fool. Oh. Yeah, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree got 4 nominations. Astrobot got 7. FF7 Rebirth got 7. I told you guys Astrobot was going to clean up. Holy crap, that's a lot of noms. Hey, I know what Stone Spire's going to do. He's going to bump the line to 15. He's going to do 2 singles, 14 then 15. He wants somebody to capstone this with a 10 gifted member bomb. Somebody tag team with him, and we will see if we can end the day on that high note. I'll owe you guys 5 more members. I'll actually owe you... No, I'll owe you 10 more. Yo, what's good, feed? Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Destiny 2 got a nomination for Best Ongoing Game. Yeah, how did Destiny 2 get a nomination for Best Ongoing Game over No Man's Sky? What the what? Can we all agree that that's a crime? We're not having universal agreement about the other things. But can we have agreement that Destiny 2 should not have got a nomination for Best Ongoing over No Man's Sky? Like, what? Have you seen what No Man's Sky's been doing? What are we even talking about? What are we even talking about? No Man's Sky got a nom. Not for Best Ongoing. It got for community support. No Man's Sky got a nom for ongoing? No. No, it got community support. Prince of Persia was up against Astrobot for the Best Action Adventure. Yeah, Prince of Persia did get a nomination. That is true. Thank you for the $5 super chat. I don't agree. Final Shape was the best expansion they made. It's because of the Final Shape. Okay, you're right. Final Shape did do really well. You're right. Okay, that's fair. I forgot about that. Frick, I just didn't like seeing No Man's Sky get stiffed. Assassin's Creed Syndicate has pushed out a 60 FPS update to Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and PS5 Pro. Insomniac Black with a $5 super chat. Hypothetically, let's say Erdtree wins Game of the Year. What do you think the effects will be? Will the Game Awards take a significant hit? Justice or Stellar Blade? Good to see you. We need 2 more super chats, and we need 10 more members, and then we got to get out of here. We got 5 minutes. We got 5 minutes. Keep it going. Keep it going. We need 17 more likes. Hit that thumbs up. Let me schedule the writer's room. Yeah, I actually think it's bad for the event if Erdtree wins Insomniac Black. I've said that a couple of times. I'm like, I don't think it's good for the event. I don't. I really, 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 really don't. You don't want to be like, and the Game of the Year is DLC in a former Game of the Year winner. Like, it's just, that's just so non-celebratory. I don't think the public would celebrate that. The only people that would celebrate that are like the anti-Sony fans that don't want Astrobot or Rebirth to win. Ain't nobody else celebrating that. The general public would be like, what the frick? Like, they'd be like, that's not a game. They're like, that's a DLC. Like, how many people in the general public are going to watch the event and be confused by that? It would be very confusing. And the Game of the Year is a DLC. Like, huh? Like, are you serious, Clark? The Souls cult? I don't know, dude. There's a lot of Souls fans here that are not okay with this happening. They're like, what? I know a lot of Souls fans are going to say, yeah, I don't agree with that. Elden Ring had its time in the sun. Elden Ring had its time. You know, let somebody else get up there. Calica says, I'm happy as Acclaim to see the Puggy Squire get a nomination, but Erdtree getting noms just ruins the show. There should be a DLC category if they want to include them. I'm just disgusted at this. I really hope it doesn't win. Stellar Blade better than Black Myth. As an action game, I tend to agree with you. But we didn't get to vote. So our opinion don't matter. I'm retweeting Keighley. He's like, what are your thoughts on the Game Awards nominees? I'm saying DLC should have its own category. Taking spots from other deserving games isn't good for the event. The general viewing public will rightly be confused to see a DLC nominated for Game of the Year and Best RPG Game. If it wins any of the categories it is in, it's bad for the event. If it wins any of the categories it is in, it is bad for the event. It's bad for the event. I think it's bad for the event. Hardcore gamers will care. No, I think the general public will be confused. I don't think the general public is going to be like raging. I don't think the general public's going to rage. I think they're going to rightly be confused. They're going to be like, what the what? Why is a DLC up there? That's not a game. Y'all better get ready for Elden Ring to sweep because it's coming. The greatest video game of all time wins Game of the Year twice. I think that's bad for games. It's bad for devs. It's bad for the event. It doesn't need any more accolades. It doesn't need any more accolades, like, at all. All right, you guys have 1 minute. You have 1 minute. We're getting out of here. You have 1 minute. There's another super chat. Did it bump? There it is. There it is. We need one more super chat for the confetti. I vote Call of Duty 6 Battle Pass for Game of the Year. You guys have 1 minute to get 10 more members and one more super chat. And I'll just drop, if we do it, I'll just drop a 20 bomb. I'll drop a 20 bomb. I'll give you an extra 5 just out of love. If you guys want to quickly scramble before we leave to celebrate the strong start to the week. We had an upload today. We had a live stream today. We did this co-stream today. Full day. And you guys crushed it. Elden Ring is far from the best game of all time. That would go to a game that doesn't reuse the same boss fight 5 times in different dungeons to pad the game. Oh, and so much of Elden Ring stands on the shoulders of Dark Souls, like weapons, move sets, animation sets, enemy and character animation sets. You know what I mean? There's our boy, Siryu! He does it. He does it. Oh, and there's a little extra from Zinthos. That's more than we needed. I owe you guys 5 for that. I'll do it. I owe you 5 for that. I only owe you currently right now. I only owe you, what, 10 for this or whatever? No, I only owe you 5 here. There it is. Dylan Butler does it with the 10 bomb. What a way to end the day. And my man Behemoth comes in. Hi, Lono. Let's seal the deal. My man Behemoth. You the man. All right, I'm going to drop a 20 bomb and let's get the heck out of here. I love how generous this community is. Always paying it forward. Here's my response. 20 members, and we're going to bounce to the writer's room. If you get a member, the show doesn't stop. You get to come with us. If you've been continuing to get gifted memberships, consider upgrading. Consider upgrading to Member Plus or VIP. It's $1 more. It's only $6 a month instead of $5. It's $6 a month. You get into all of my extra content. It supports me directly. I'm going to spam a link in chat, and then we're going to head to the writer's room. Huge day for the channel. Thanks for all that you guys do. If you didn't get a gifted member, consider picking up your own. Greg Miller says, DLC should be eligible for Game of the Year. It's a game. It's a game people played this year. If it's that good, it should be honored. It's not a game. No, it's not a game. Every DLC is a game then. Every track that got added to Astrobot's a game. Every season in a game is a game. Like, that doesn't make any sense. We don't talk that way. You're creating new measurements, new categories, and new terms to justify this thing being nominated because everybody wants to slobber on Elden Ring. I just don't agree with that at all. We don't talk like this. We don't. You're making up new categories to justify a change. That's not how we do this. We have never said, that was a really great game that I played. You would say, that was a great expansion. That was a great season. That was a great DLC. Labeling a DLC as a game is quite literally... that is linguistic homicide. You are murdering language and categories just to justify your opinion. That's not how we communicate. I completely disagree. I think it's reckless to just take terms and just take them behind the shed and shoot them and be like, well, game doesn't mean game anymore. Now it can mean DLC. Now it can mean expansion. Now it can mean season. That's incredibly confusing and stupid. That's not how we communicate. That's not how language works. Wholeheartedly disagree. I believe it's intellectually bankrupt to say something like that. I don't agree with it. It's not backed by facts. It's not backed by how we talk. It's just opinion being ham-fisted into new categories. It's confusing. Imagine the general public watching the event and be like, oh, the game of the year was an expansion? A DLC? That's not a game. Anyway, we got to get out of here. Thanks so much for being a member. You might have got a member today. Insane start to the week. We're above pace, which is going to be a great send-off. As a reminder, members, I will be out of town next week for the week of Thanksgiving, so make sure to get your re-ups this week. Go crazy. Hilly returns Friday night as a send-off. You're not going to want to miss it. We always have a really, really great time playing games with Hilly. Help us think of some fun games to play. Get some goals. Get some stretch goals. Let's put us through some fun hilarity. And I dropped a 20 bomb at the end of the last stream. I'm going to end the Game of the Year nominees stream and bring folks over with a redirect. Thank you guys so much. And I'll spam the link one more time.